Let me walk you through just a handful of slides to give you my assessment of Pakistan generally, and then Dr. Shabazz will walk through KP specifically. You'll see this slide. There's a lot to read here. I won't go through it. But the thing that should strike fear in the hearts of all other outsourcing destinations is that 207 million population number. Jamaica, Belize, a lot of these other destinations, Kenya, they're all emerging as destinations, but they're not going to go very far because they don't have very large populations. And the smaller your population is, the faster the prices are going to increase for the talent in those regions. Let's look at Pakistan generally and follow the money. So this chart here shows Pakistan's foreign investment. So it's increasingly becoming a place where people want to put their money, want to take advantage of the local emerging market. The stock market has been performing well, and just about all the economic research that I've found is uniform in saying Pakistan is going to continue to invest in infrastructure. It's going to continue to invest in power. So all of those things countrywide are going to continue to get better and cheaper over time. The government's pretty set, and they've got a lot of local partners and regional partners that are helping to invest in that, like the Chinese. Pakistan's GDP is improving. One of the things that makes I think you were speaking to what an exciting time it is for Pakistan to be emerging from some of its history and difficulty. Those are pretty strong projections for the GDP coming out. It's had several strong years prior to now, but that looks to only continue. And one of the things we look at when companies want to start operating in Pakistan, they pay pretty careful attention to how hard or easy it is to do business. So I just wanted to highlight that on the World Bank's Doing Business indicator, Pakistan improved in almost every category, especially in working across borders. So there's been a lot of systematic work to make it easier to engage and to do business in Pakistan. This is one of the greatest slides ever. So A.T. Kearney is a global research service, and every year they publish a ranking of countries and how attractive they are as outsourcing destinations. So Pakistan sits about in the middle, but look at these three areas of criteria that they work with: financial attractiveness, people skills and availability, both of which Pakistan does very well, and then business environment. So in this business environment capacity indicator, that's Pakistan's problem, is the perception of security issues. So part of this assessment includes data related to the perception of security issues in Pakistan. Pakistan ranks number 4 of all 55 countries on this list for financial attractiveness. Number 4 out of all these destinations for financial attractiveness. So just a slight change in this perception of security, and the government, like Dr. Shabazz and the government of KP being assertive in going out and indicating that their region, their province is ready for business. Just those type of things is going to make a huge impact overall to Pakistan's attractiveness for outsourcing. And then and finally, I'll just some of the business things that are important at the federal level is Pakistan allows 100% repatriation of capital. IT exports are tax exempt, at least for the next year or two. And foreign investors are allowed to repatriate profits in the currency of their investors. And then finally, the State Bank of Pakistan allows a 30% depreciation on IT. So the IT board, the government of KP has even better incentives than that, but the overall federal environment is positive for outsourcing. So prices are good, talent is strong, and I'll just conclude by saying before we started this trip in San Francisco, I was in Pakistan, in Peshawar, and we graduated a class of a training group that we had gone through to train on an online outsourcing platform. So we had 4 cohorts. 2 cohorts were men, 2 were women. We trained them equally on how to perform outsource-related tasks on this platform. And from a quality and a production perspective, I thought they all did well. The women actually did better than the men. And that surprises no one that actually knows a woman. If you don't know a woman, then I'm really sad for you. But the women actually had less IT training than most of the men, and they still did better. There's a curiosity, conscientiousness about learning the task. In some countries I've been in, young people are really shy when they're learning to perform certain tasks, or they're shy or nervous about working for somebody in a technical role or sector. But we were very pleased with the openness and the assertiveness of the people there in KP. And of course, with the graduation ceremony, everybody's lined up for selfies like they are with every other country, making people feel like rock stars. But there's an energy and a vibrancy, and the government in KP has locked into that, and they've sensed that, and I think you'll find they're really committed to giving these young people an outstanding shot at the future. So I'm very pleased to turn the time over to Dr. Shabazz.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Open Network. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this morning on a working day in Toronto. We're very pleased to be here with you and to present some of the opportunities that we believe exist in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and where we have commitment from the government side to support investments, and we'll showcase some of those investments. But before going into the slides, I would just talk about the reason why we are here today and the core issue for which we are in the government. We are working on different solutions, and we have developed a strategy for that. That core issue is that 15 million young people that we have in the province. According to 2017 census that we have, the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has over 30 million people right now. Half of them are below the age of 30 years. To any government, that's a challenge, but at the same time, that's a huge opportunity if we can actually plan for that. And to us, we believe that digital jobs can be a solution. So now, where are those digital jobs? That's a part of the bigger strategy, and is part of the reason why we are here and why we went to different other cities in the US is all linked with this. So I'll initially start with the BPO opportunities, and then we would have your questions. But in the end, I'll also go through some of the other investment opportunities that we have for the IT sector in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So, and linking with the previous argument, in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa we have a huge talent pool. Every year there are over 6,000 plus IT graduates coming out of, and they are joining the pool. Last year, the data that we collected, the total number of jobs created in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in the public and private sector, there were about 2,873. So there's a huge deficit, and I'm not including the other graduates. So that is the reason why we are thinking about other different forms of interventions one of those sectors which is going to address the bottom 40% in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is for the BPO sector. So in terms of some of the factors that will matter to somebody who would outsource to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is the competitive wages and the availability of a large talent pool. So we have over 6,000 IT graduates joining the pool every year. We have, and a large majority of those graduates, they can speak English. So that's an added advantage that we have. The wages in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, according to Pasha is the Pakistan Software Houses Association, according to the survey that they conducted, the wages difference in terms of the skilled workforce in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and the major cities of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is 15% lower than what we have in other cities of Pakistan. In terms of the operational cost, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is about 44% cheaper. And I'll cite one of the examples of one of the recent operator who is coming to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa for 1,000 seats facility. He's been operating in Vietnam also, and the per seat BPO ready building that he was charged there, it was around $89. The similar facility that we are offering in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to the same operator is going to cost him about $48, which is about 5,000 rupees a month. That's a significant saving. And on the top of that, if we add that difference in terms of wages, that's a significant saving for any of the operator. Then we also realize that we have to invest into the infrastructure that can enable more of those investors. So in the end, I'll also talk about some of the opportunities. For example, the technology city that we have in the special economic zone, where a lot of the Chinese companies have expressed their interest and they are coming in. Special economic zone, some of you might know that it has a number of incentives applicable from the federal government also in the form of 10 years tax holiday, and that is one of the projects that's officially included in the CPEC framework. So all of the Chinese government is going to be supporting that project. We also have digital city, Pakistan's first digital city that is located very close to the capital, and once we go to that slide, I'll talk about that. So these are some of the factors that we believe position Khyber Pakhtunkhwa as the most favorable destination for outsourcing. This slide basically compares Peshawar with Karachi and Mumbai, Manila, and Cairo. In terms of the operational cost, that includes a number of other heads. And the source that we have is from the Everest Global Services Research, who conducted all the survey, and represents the average. So Peshawar is on the second lowest in terms of the overall operational cost, and Cairo is the lowest on this scale. But if we look at the changes in terms of the wages, there's significant changes, like almost 2% up variation in Cairo. So that factor is going up, while it has remained considerably stable in case of Peshawar. That's the 44% difference that I'm talking about, and that translates into that facility with the same sort of features and the same aspects that a BPO facility would have. Then on the last three columns, we have the wages comparisons. The source for this is also Pasha, and this represents the average. So the third column from that side represents the about $300 for low-skilled workers. Some of them are offering them $250, but that represents the average. So there is that 15% difference comes in terms of the wages cost, and then 44% difference comes in the form of the operation cost of the BPO ready facility. We also believe that if someone would want to come in and start their operations, they would want to have a talent pool where they could easily find people of the required skills. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government has launched the first publicly funded digital skills program. It was it was quite publicized, and a lot of people really appreciated that. It was followed by the federal government, I think last year. So that trend is going up. We are training 40,000 people in a number of digital skills. That includes programming skills. That also includes like some of these Amazon Web Service, a number of certifications that are required in cybersecurity area, full stack development, and a number of other things. And some of the operators who would speak of any required skills that they would want to have, we can also incorporate in that program. The program that we work on under this project is called Youth Employment Program. So Khyber Pakhtunkhwa also has, Peshawar also has lowest attrition rates, and those who are working in the BPO industry, they would know that attrition costs a lot to the business. So in terms of attrition, Peshawar has a better position, and some of those operators who are working in Rawalpindi and Islamabad, over 50% of their workforce is also from KP. So the attrition rates in there is also low. So once they shift to those better cities in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the attrition low is going to really is going to go further down. In terms of the compatibility of the English-speaking skills, although India and Philippines and Egypt, they started a lot earlier than we have, but on this scale, we are not doing that bad. We are on the scale of 5, which is about medium to high. It's not native. So all of the elements for support are there in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa on all of these indices. Currently, we are offering to the early stage IT companies, we are offering 50% subsidies in the IT parks. Previously, we had a different structure. We have revised that. On the training, we are conducting a different set of trainings. One of those that I mentioned is the Youth Employment Program, where the total target is about 40,000 people in different skills areas. So that out of the 40,000, I would ideally want that 2,000 of those people should be expert on Ruby on Rails, for example. Some of them should be good at Linux, some of them should be good at. So out of the total 40,000, we should have different percentages of people with a specific kind of skill so they can cater to the requirements of different industries. And in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, we are trying to provide all of the business facilitation services, including legal services, including all of the local interpretation and local support in all of the sites that I just mentioned about. I'll briefly go through some of these. These are basically represent some of the projects that we have launched in the last 1 year. On the bottom left, you would see Durshal. Durshal is the largest tech incubator network of the country that we are setting up in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. There are a total of 13 tech incubators, and the reason why we are setting up these 13 is that the IT graduates are coming out of different districts. So there are universities in Swat. So for a graduate of Swat to come to Peshawar not to opt for a job, but rather to be an entrepreneur and fight with all of his, parents and because still this is a new idea. People are being pushed to be, opting for jobs. So we are actually taking these facilities closer to their home districts, and we are also financially supporting them for a period of 6 months. We had very good success when we visited the valley. A number of people are now on the list of mentors on this Durshal project. In a year, we will be producing 130 startups. So all of the overseas Pakistanis. And then early age programming is the last one that I would like to mention. You would have seen your Prime Minister, Trudeau, going to different schools. If you search it on YouTube, and if you search that hour of code, you would see Obama going to different US schools, inviting kids to the White House, and Trudeau going to different schools and sitting with kids. And they have a curriculum where they teach early age programming, and that's based on MIT Scratch and App Inventor. So what we did in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was that we started the same curriculum, and we launched that program in 300 government schools. And at the end of a year, when those kids came up, and all of those kids had developed different sort of apps, and they had also animated the stories that they used to see in the books. So it's kind of unlocking the creativity of those kids of 7th grade in government schools. And they're like from very poor backgrounds. So the government had invested in setting up 1,300 IT labs, and we actually tailored this program to enable those kids to learn more and make better use of all of this. So, ladies and gentlemen, all of this discussion it translates into what we call the digital strategy for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where the focus is on 4 main areas. The first one is digital access. A lot of our population is not on the internet. So part of one of the main focus areas that we have is to put more of them on the internet. And then it's not only about putting them onto the internet, it's more on they should be getting the benefits associated with the internet, and that's to give them skills and the basic digital literacy, and then upskilling them. So that comes under digital access. You would have seen Pakistan and a lot of government departments are still lagging behind in automation and providing the services to the citizen. So the government to citizens engagement is a problem. The government to government engagement is also a problem. So every department has its own databases in different silos. They are not speaking to each other. They're not speaking to the government also. So it doesn't have that kind of transparency. It's difficult to interact with. So a part of one of the main focus areas that we have in the digital strategy is to improve on the digital governance. And we've started with police department. We're also going after the different hospitals to automate all of them. Then the third focus area is the digital economy, and one of those initiative that I mentioned is that Durshal project. Durshal is a Pashto word. Those who know Pashto, they would know Durshal is called Chokat. So it's like we want to kind of launch them through this Durshal. And there are 13 in Banum, Dia Khan, Kohat, Haripur, Abtabad, Peshawar, Swat, and so all of those areas where the IT graduates are going to come out. And then the fourth one is the digital skills, where we are providing the skill training to people according to industry requirement, including the BPO. So I'd be happy to take your questions, and thank you very much once again to be here.
If you don't mind, what we'll do is we have a guest here that we just want to invite.
All right, I'll take questions later.
Yeah, and we'll take the questions in just a few minutes. Thank you. We'll have lots of time for questions. Thank you so much, both Anna and Daoud. Incredible information. You know, I think what I got out of listening to all of this is the word born digital. And I believe that I've always thought that it's always harder to undo existing processes and structures than implement new ones. And I love, I think everybody will agree the leaps and strides that are being made in this area are fantastic for facilitating what you guys are trying to do. So thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, people, projects, and nations need champions. There is plenty of champions who have a mandate, but not often is there someone that really takes accountability for what has been assigned to them. Our next guest is our official representative for the government of Pakistan here in Canada. And I myself have been amazed at the level of interaction, support, and leadership this gentleman demonstrates for helping integrate Canadian Pakistanis in Canada here and for the Canadian initiatives in Pakistan. So would you guys please put your hands together and help me welcome the Consul General of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Siddiqui. Sir, would you come up and do a few words?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and a very good morning to you all. I apologize for being late, but it is not, I can blame it to the traffic, but it was not traffic today. It was, there was some mismanagement in the communication. In any case, thank you very much for inviting me, and I welcome all the guests who have come from Pakistan to showcase the progress that has been achieved in the KP province of Pakistan. KP province of Pakistan. It is indeed remarkable. As you all are aware that, last week, Federal Minister for Commerce and Textile visited Canada at the invitation of his Canadian counterpart. I had the honor of being present in some of his meetings over here in Toronto. And one thing which came out, it was, an important takeaway for us as well, was a remark by one of our interlocutors, the provincial minister for trade. He said that, there are distances between Canada and the world in Asia and across Pacific and across Atlantic. And it restricts Canadian business and trade with the world that is far away from Canada, Canadian shores. And that is why our focus is on our southern neighbors in NAFTA. But he at the same time remarked, and we fully subscribe to his view, that we have to find out new plans, extraordinary plans where we can interact and where we can, trade and have business. And IT sector is one of such plans, and we fully agree with him that it is here where distance do not matter, and we can easily do business, expand our trade, and help our respective societies and economies by promoting interaction between people to people, people in Canada, business people in Canada, and business people in Pakistan, as well as helping achieve sustainable development goals, which were, if you see this employment thing, that is a cross-cutting issue in that document. So we can help in achieving in the government's efforts, in the provincial government's efforts in Pakistan to achieve all such objectives which have been outlined in the, in that document, Sustainable Development Goals, by promoting business, by creating new opportunities for employment, particularly for our young people. There are several reasons for us to believe that IT is the plane that we must explore and expand. First of all, some of the points have been mentioned, but I will, at the expense of repeating them, will reiterate, some of the points which were mentioned earlier by two very capable speakers before me. Pakistan has been ranked as number 4 for freelance development in the world. Pakistan's IT exports have increased by 70% during the last 3 years. With its over 200 million population, 60% of which in the age of 15 to 29, Pakistan represents an enormous human and knowledge capital potential. Pakistan has more than 2,000 IT companies and call centers, and the number is growing each other. Pakistan is already the third largest provider of workers to online freelancing platforms. The number of English-speaking IT professionals goes beyond 300,000, with high qualification in current and emerging IT products and technologies. With over 14 software technology parks, the country produces over 20,000 IT graduates and engineers every year. The total revenue of Pakistan's IT industry is nearing $3 billion. The government of Pakistan continues to facilitate the IT industry through numerous sustainable development and accelerated digitization projects, research and innovation, software and technology parks, subsidized bandwidth, international marketing, international certifications, internships and trainings. There are other areas which are as relevant to IT business environment, and the federal government of Pakistan and all the provincial governments have made significant progress in these areas too. First, Pakistan today can rightfully claim that after thousands of sacrifices, it has overcome security issues in the country. Now, someone mentioned about the issue of perception. It is an important point. Perceptions are not reality, but perceptions do matter. So how do we fight with a negative perception about Pakistan and the investment environment and the business environment in Pakistan? It's a challenge, but we can easily overcome this challenge by interacting, kind of intensifying our interaction with the economies where this perception is deliberately promoted by some elements. The problem with North America is this: when people come for exploration of technological landscape and the business landscape, they usually stop at the United States. They do not come to Canada. That's why we find we recently started a Pakistan Canada Research Council. The idea was to connect universities and the research institutions in both countries. And I found out a number of very well decorated and qualified researchers, scientists all around Canada, in each province of Canada, in each university of Pakistan origin, Canadians. And all these experts are very much willing to enter into some kind of collaboration with Pakistani institutions. We have been able to, but the problem is this, that they mentioned, lack of information, less frequent contacts with the education institutions in Pakistan, at least not as intensive and extensive as we have with the United States universities and research institutions. So there is a need that we promote that kind of linkages and connections, between Pakistan and Canada, between research and scientific institutions, because you have to promote your abilities and capabilities and capacities, what you can do for Canada. If you talk to businesses over here, they would, and even the institutions which are not into business, which are government institutions, which are helping other countries in various fields, when you talk to them, they would certainly ask you to tell them or brief them on the things on which you can help them with, or how can this cooperation or business collaboration would be mutually beneficial. So we have to showcase this to them, and this is a commendable effort that you are doing over here of showcasing. And a lot depends on Pakistan community, Pakistan origin Canadians in GTA particularly, where we say that there are around 300,000 Pakistanis are operating in different fields. There are students, there are researchers, there are businesses, etc. The thing is this: this is their responsibility also to showcase to their Canadian counterparts as to what we have achieved in Pakistan, and the challenges that we faced in recent past, and how you must have seen an article about the resilience of Pakistan, written by one of a very prominent US journalist, and there is a book also, Pakistan, a Hard Country to Crack. So the challenges that we have faced, if the similar challenges were faced by other countries, and the grit and strength and resilience that we have shown, I am not boasting about my country, but I would say that it is thus far matchless. The challenges, internal challenges and the external challenges, we are still facing, and we are coping with them very well. This all has to be showcased to the world. Interaction is one, physical interaction is one area that we can explore, with the help of the Canadian government, to see how can we, address immigration issues, and how can we increase interaction between businesses. But at the same time, we have this social media. We have, again, IT plane, where there is no bar to reach anyone in the world. So this interaction that you are, doing today over here should not end here. You should continue, talking to your counterparts in Canada through different channels, using IT, using internet, using broad bandwidth, which we so eagerly flaunt everywhere. So this interaction should not stop, and we should not only think about physical interaction. We must use, and it is a good advice given by the Canadian businesses to us as well, that we must use social media to promote the true image of Pakistan in societies, in economies, in countries where it is being distorted. Secondly, Pakistan's economy has experienced a remarkable turnaround. Since 2013 and 14, the economy has witnessed a smooth upward trend in growth rate. Real GDP has smoothly increased during the last 4 years to reach 5.5% in 2016 and 17, the highest in a decade. Thirdly, it is widely acknowledged that Pakistan has immense economic potential. PricewaterhouseCoopers projected that Pakistan will emerge as the world's 20th largest economy by 2030 and the 16th largest by 2050. Fourthly, because of the successful implementation of key short-term reform measures, Pakistan's ranking in the World Bank's ease of doing business has improved. It has been mentioned by the speakers before me. Fifthly, Pakistan has undergone a digital transformation, and this seminar is basically a manifestation of that. And sixthly, provinces are adopting progressive investment policies with the emphasis on special economic zones. And the representatives of KP government just mentioned it as such. So at the end, I wish you a very productive stay here, and I hope that you would be able to have more such interactions in not very far future, in near future. And I also hope that you would use all the instruments that we have at the consulate as a diplomatic mission over here at our disposal to promote the good thing that you want to promote about the economy of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. We are at your disposal. Any information that you want to get from us, please do not hesitate to contact us. Anyone you want to have any background check by us, please ask us to do that and have more of such interaction. I mean, we can arrange webinars for you in collaboration with any interested organization, open another business organization. If they want to do something in collaboration with you, we would be very happy to organize web space for you where you can promote activities that you are doing, good deeds, good things that you are doing, and which the Canadians must know. Plus, the Canada-Pakistan Research Council is at your disposal. Some of the professors who are the PhDs from McGill, from Canada at UET Peshawar are also engaged with it, and they are doing whatever they can. I would be very happy to share their contact details with you, and I hope that they would be co-opted in further promoting our common objective, and that is the growth and progress of our economy everywhere in provinces as well as in federal level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's very heartening to hear the leadership of your country talking about this initiative with strong conviction. And I think we'll all agree that we've got the World Bank here today, we've got the Pakistani federal government represented, we've got the KP government represented, we've got the Ontario government represented, and we've got business represented. So would we say we are well on our way to shattering that perception problem that Pakistan has? I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to open up the floor for questions, and I would suggest that Todd, would you as well, and Shahbaz, perhaps people have questions for both of you, and if you'll entertain those questions, that would be great. And I would just suggest we have some time. We have about half an hour before we break for lunch. And when you ask your questions, please feel free to share a little bit about your company, what you see, the vision in terms of how this initiative could support your company. And some of you here are, I know, centers of influence which may not have your own business concern, but may know of other companies, who would fit well for this initiative. So if Shahbaz, would you and Todd come up, and we'll let people ask the questions. Thank you.
First off, great job, guys. I don't know how many people are from KPK over here. I am from Peshawar. Perfect. So we have good representation. Time Peshawar. I spent half a year there, and I'm also involved in IT over there. So great job, you guys. You guys are targeting the right points. So I myself, Sammy, I've got about 40 employees in KPK in Peshawar actually now. We do software export from there, actually more on the product side rather than service side. And a lot of the talking points that you guys have were pain points that I'm facing as well, as, you know, training and everything. I've been sponsoring all by myself, investing by myself. I would like to know what you guys are doing with it. It was amazing on paper, but I want to see what it is actually. So perfect on that. One thing I did find a challenge right now is the female part. As Todd said earlier, they do a better job. I mean, that's hands down a fact right now. One challenge I'm having right now is there's not enough of the female population there that are involved in the IT sector, and there's sort of a stickiness factor to them. So if you don't have enough, they won't come through. You have to have multiple of them to be able to see their creativity and steadfastness shine in the company. Is there any specific initiative for them?
Yeah, thank you, Sami. And I would like to know where your company is based in KP, with 40 people there, and if we can give any of the support that we are extending to others. So, yeah, the Darshal project, we are going to offer the significant 33% share specifically for women entrepreneurs. And the spaces that we have developed there is going to cater to all of the factors that were stopping them to come to a co-working space and to participate in a startup. So we hope that slowly and gradually, in a period of another 2 or 3 years, we are going to change that perception for women to go to work, and especially in the tech sector. Right now, a number of them are participating in the youth employment program where they can work from home, but that's not the only solution. We have to bring them to the workplace. So the Darshal project and a few other initiatives is a part of it, including the early age programming that we mentioned. So we also had about 33 to 40% share for girls' schools to teaching them how to code. And the best performers were those young little girls who could code better than those boys, because they were somehow they were more creative. Yeah.
And we're going to continue training additional cohorts, and those will continue to be half men, half women. So that's the government and the KP IT board plans to support that. I'll be involved in some of that as well.
Good morning. My name is Everton Thompson from eServe Connect, and I have to thank Fazia, one of my business partners and associates, for inviting me to such an informative forum. I've been in the call center industry for the last 30 years. I was one of the co-founder of Immediate Response and Connect One Management Group. Was responsible for putting one of the first call center in the Caribbean, in Trinidad, Grenada, and started that whole process in the Caribbean. I remember when we used to have satellites. That's how we used to get our calls out with partnership with the government, due to the fact that Cable and Wireless had the monopoly on telecom, and we've seen it change all over the years. To be totally honest, I remember working in India, in Pune, just outside of Mumbai, with a company by the name of Zenta. We were responsible for getting that call center side over there. That was going back about 18 years ago. And had an opportunity to look at Pakistan. But there was just issues of security, connectivity, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm really surprised and heartwarmed to see that you guys have come so far. I just got a couple of questions. In regards to your fiber connectivity and your termination site and redundancy, because in the outsourcing sector and call center sector, you got to be connected 24/7. Especially when you're doing inbound, outbound, and of course, webinar and all of those different type of services that's provided. And who are your major carriers in that section right now?
So that's improving as a part of the CPAC. The Chinese are investing in that backbone network. There are a lot of other companies who are coming in, including Nayatel, including a few other operators. One of the major carrier in that case is the Pakistan Telecommunication Company Limited. So with time, we have that redundancy to different cities, and that's helping the businesses avoid that problem of disconnectivity.
And Peshawar's part of the Safe City initiative, so there's a lot of fiber going through to run the cameras and other things within the city as well. So there's a convergence of a number of different initiatives that are bulking out the fiber. And
So there are two things. One is to bring the cost of internet down. There was a provincial sales tax of 19%. So we've already, the government is working on it to revoke that tax. So it's going to be 19.5% cheaper to have internet in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And as a part of what Todd mentioned, that smart cities, so the government has selected 4 major cities for that smart city initiative. So the average internet speed, including that for businesses, is going to improve. So, yeah.
Excellent. What about like for electricity and stuff, like with these free zones you have, backup power generators and all that in place?
Yeah, it has capital power plant, the one in Rashidi Special Economic Zone. It's going to be supplying only to that. And it's also great, the best interest of those who are investing in the power plant, because they want that Special Economic Zone to be populated all over, so they can sell more electricity. It's not going to be sold out of that economic zone, so that's going to be taken care of.
And in the economic zone, do they provide, I know you're saying that it's $48.
$48 is not in the economic zone, it's within the city currently. It's the example that I cited there for the $48 a seat. It's out of the negotiation that this price came up with one of the operators restarting the facility with 1,000 seats. So this is the price that we are offering to that operator. In some other cities might go a little further down, but in some other parts it might be up to $55.
Okay, so that's just only for infrastructure, not included like your LD or anything like that, right?
It includes BPO ready facility with all of the electricity and utilities taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, 5,000 rupees, which translates into about $48 a month per seat. That has furnished space with electricity payment and all the internet cost. And the training facilities that we provide, there are 2 curriculum areas. All of the BPO operators have, they have a specific curriculum to train their employees based on the kind of service that they want to provide to the service to the industry. And then there is a baseline training program that they want everybody to apply to that. So we are helping on the baseline, and specific curriculum is being trained and provided to by the BPO operator.
Okay, for your employees, I mean, I'm interested because
Yeah,
you know I have facilities in Jamaica, and of course I do business in the Philippines also. I know in Jamaica, like for the staff and like the transportation, or the population for labor, is it close within these vicinity?
Yeah.
Or?
So the area where they're starting, it's in Hyderabad, it's in the provincial capital, and in the provincial capital, in 5 kilometers distance, there are 9 public and private sector universities. There's about 40,000 people living in that area, and some of the workforce may not come from that area, but we are providing that shuttle service to one of the terminals, the famous thing on the North Side, you know about that BRT project. There's a BRT terminal, so we are providing that shuttle service. So the essence is that we are trying to facilitate as much as we can in order to make sure that you get all of the best features for the BPO destination in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And one of the things is that when I mentioned that we are providing business facilities and services, that you can speak to us, we can have customized, a package for you, and that can help your industry requirements.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salman. I'd like to thank Nadeem Hashmi for inviting me to such an informative session. It is indeed heartwarming to see such initiatives pursued with such aggressiveness in our beloved home province. I have a little bit of experience in setting up an outsourcing organization. We did it in Karachi in about 2002-2004. My question is about the preparedness of the lead team, the leadership that has a little bit of experience in dealing with international projects, understanding business requirements and translating them to getting the workforce and delivering what is required. So we've heard about the training for at the grassroots levels to get the workforce ready, but I'd like to know a little bit about the incentives for the middle management level, either training or in terms of incentives for them to move to Peshawar and the surrounding areas.
So you would want us to kind of incentivize for an operator to train some of his employees?
Well, one of the major issues that you run into in any outsourcing operation is that you have this client expecting a certain level of understanding, and you can't really get that unless you've delivered a few projects or worked in an industry at an international with
So
some
if you
international.
have any curriculum that you would want us to train, so we can conduct that training on your behalf, so that would not cost you anything. We can conduct that under the Youth Empowerment Program, and we can hire our trainers, do that for you. If you need 100 people, we can train 100 people for you, and then that's the kind of baseline training. Then you can upskill them according to any specific requirements. So if you need any language training, if you need any training, for example, somebody requires, if you need 100 people in AWS, so we can do that for you. But that's what I said, that you need to speak to us and share your requirements, and then we can package something that suits you. And
The good news is that the government and the IT board is being aggressive about attracting companies. The bad news is there are not a ton of companies already operating that are creating that kind of practical experience. You can train somebody, but you're asking about people that have already delivered to a sort of a Western standard or a European standard or those kind of initiatives. I agree that's important. I was a little worried about whether we'd be able to find that level of talent to be our trainers for the program we're using for our cohorts. But I've been very pleased with the quality of trainers that we've had that have learned very quickly, but they didn't have that experience going in as well. So I think I'd recommend, just from my experience, building some ramp up time to build some of that experience. Everest research says there has been some finance and accounting outsource going on there. So there has been some BPO work being done in Peshawar. So there probably is some of that experience there that's delivered to a sort of domestic standard, to a Western standard. But there isn't a ton of it, which is good for prices. It means you're not going to have a lot of competition. All the best talent is still there, waiting to be trained up and selected, but there's probably some that have that industry experience, but it's not extensive because they're just entering into this space.
And the operators that we spoke to and who are interested to come to KP, 50% of their workforce is also from KP. And they're at different levels, so they have that exposure, but it also depends on what industry your business needs. Yeah.
Thank you again, Todd and Shabazz, for that very insightful presentations and the answers to I think some, perhaps difficult, but definitely good questions. I would like to thank you, Mr. Imran Siddiqui, for being here today, and definitely hearing that you are behind this initiative I think, gives everybody a lot more comfort. Just wanted to point out there's a couple of, there's also the Ontario Chamber of Commerce is represented here as well. Mr. Louis De Palma and Ali Imran Mirza, they're at the back. So, I think all these organizations need to work together to facilitate, some of the initiatives that we're looking at. So please, we have a few minutes before lunch. I would love for everybody to kind of, mix and get some questions and some conversations going between everybody. And we can't forget the selfies. So we have some time because obviously, you want to interact with people, and we have, I believe we have a few people who are signed up for the one-on-one meetings with the World Bank and the KP team. But I definitely heard some interesting, discussions and some potential new candidates that may be good for those meetings. So if you don't have your name on the list, please see, I guess Nadeem Hashmi or Mr. Takvi here as well to do that. We definitely hope to see a lot more events like this, initiatives like this, and whatever we can do as an organization, Open Toronto, to facilitate for our guests, as well as facilitate for the businesses that are here, we would be more than happy to do. So please do stay in touch, and thank you. Enjoy lunch. It will be in York Room A and B. Thank you.